In this video, I'd like to go over how to shorten your Men-Himo. When you tie your Men-Himo, the distance from the knot in the back of your head to the end of the himo should be no longer than 40 centimeters. That's about 15.5 inches. A lot of people have their Men-Himo too long, and not only is that against regulations, but it takes longer to tie your Men-Himo when it's longer. And if you've ever been in a situation where you're rushing to tie your Men-Himo to get to a sensei, especially say there's a visiting sensei, and you want to get to them quickly, it takes that much longer when your Men-Himo is too long. So there are various reasons for having your Men-Himo at the right length. And the regulations say it should be no longer than 40 centimeters from the knot to the end of the himo. It can be shorter if you want to, but it cannot be any longer. If you're tying your Men-Himo in the Kanto style, the style that's popular in the eastern region of Japan, then your chichigawa, this leather part, will usually be hanging off the fourth rung of your mengane. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're tying it in the Kanto style, you'll need a replacement himo that is 7 shaku in length. So 7 shaku is about 83 inches in length. And for most people, you actually have to cut it down. And you have to keep in mind that the Men-Himo will stretch with time. So you have to cut it a little bit more than you would expect. It's been my experience that if I cut about 10 inches off the Men-Himo, then it comes out to be about the right length. Your mileage may vary, so please measure it out before you make that cut. As I said in another video, this is like carpentry. You measure twice and cut once, because once you cut it, that's it. So I've measured this out. This is about 10 inches, about 25 centimeters, and I'm going to cut it right here. Once you've cut the Men-Himo to the proper length, then you'll need to recreate the tassels. So you just fray the ends until you have a relatively long length that you can work with. So this is the part that I cut off. So you're trying to create a tassel that's about that long. Okay? So I'm going to use that as a reference. This is a letter opener, by the way. Okay, periodically measure it. Need to go a little bit further. Now you can retie the tassels using a needle and thread, but you don't really need that. What you do is you take one thread from one side and another thread from the other side, and you just tie a knot. So you take one strand from one side, one strand from the opposite side, loop it around the himo in opposite directions, maybe twice, and then you tie it off in a knot. And you'll probably want 2 or 3 knots to make sure it doesn't come loose. And if you want to keep it nice and neat, just cut off the excess. And if you want to make sure it's secure, you might want to repeat that process over again with 2 more strands. And then you repeat the process for the other himo. And now to put the men-himo back on the chichigawa, you want the loop to come over the top like this. Not this way, but so that this loop comes over the top. And then you can pull your himo through these holes. That way, when the himo pulls on the chichigawa, you don't have a situation where the leather ends are showing on this side. You want them pulling down against the membudon. Then, of course, you repeat the step for the other side. If you're tying your men-himo in the kanto style, it'll come through the top grill of your mengane, like this, and then the other side as well.